Well, I tried to tell you, baby, I don't make no offense. Now you got me, baby, up against that fence. And ain't that a shame, shame, shame? Shame, shame, the way you do. Well, it's a shame, shame, shame. Shame, shame, shame on you. There we are. He came to see us play once. He was pissed. Jimmy Reed, yeah? I was talking to Paige about an hour ago about how he came to Yule Tech or somewhere. He was drunk, he had his wife with him. Don't you know that I love you? Superb. He was such a great voice. Okay, we're ready. Great, thank you.
Right then, playing live for us tonight. A guy who in the 1970s fronted the biggest rock and roll band in the world. No arguments about that. Although he achieved tousle-haired, tight-trousered, multi-platinum rock god status, he never stood still and has always moved on and has always been curious and open-minded about music from all over the world. In short, he's a brother. Forever the fan, his latest album brims with his enthusiasm for North African styles. Playing live for us with his band, the strange sensation, Robert Plant.
Another brother torn between his lover and the gun. Another God, another mother weeps to justify the damage done. I wonder through the lies under. I wonder, will a meek inherit all the earth? Lies with propaganda, just another victim on the run. The road outside, a fluffing canvas.
Well, I've never seen so much equipment in BBC Maida Vale Studio 3, and I think we can be certain of this. Not since the early 1970s have joysticks been deployed in here. Robert Plant and the Strange Sensation, welcome to BBC Radio 3, the Kershaw programme. That's Robert on the vocals, of course, Justin Adams and Skin Tyson on the guitars, Clive Deemer on the drums, John Baggett on the keyboards, and Billy Fuller on the bass. The first one there from Robert and the Strange Sensation was Another Tribe. Robert, you're on the never-ending tour. You play more dates than Bob Dylan. You're working harder than the Beatles in Hamburg. You're now 56. From where do you get the energy and the enthusiasm?
It's Holy Communion. It's Holy Communion. I went to confession about 5 years ago, and I just came out the box and went, it's going to be a long time when it's going to be dark. So I should, with this combination of players and the kind of the temperament, it's magnificent.
I get the sense that you're having more fun now than at any point in your career.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, because, well, you got all the old sort of, cliches about got nothing left to prove and that. And if I think about the way that my time has gone since 1980 when John passed away and Zeppelin...
John Bonham.
Yeah, creaked to a halt. Every 5-6 years, I had to sort of review my situation and say, am I doing the right thing? This is what I would have done. Must never sell out, must never do, just keep going. And since Strange Sensation have come along and we've developed this thing with the personnel as it is now and the temperament, it's an absolute dream, because I was searching for such a long time to try and become a part of something, and I never realized it could be so much fun. And it's just a magnificent sort of musical melange, really. I can't believe I'm in the middle of it.
Because you have been making records in all those years since the demise of Led Zeppelin. But it really feels that this is like the first time it's properly gelled. Do you get the same? I was always
separated from the other musicians in one way or another by sort of legend or management or just circumstances, or the other musicians being much more inclined to think about it in the short term.
Like hired hands.
Well, not quite, because it's unfair to say that, but it was definitely, we didn't have the spirit, the cohesion that we've got now. And I do really strongly feel that, I am a member of this band, and it's about the first time for about 25 years I've ever felt that I can step right back, get out the way, let it go, and it's so beautiful. And it's going exactly, I would never have imagined it could be like this, I mean, it's the combination of influences within the group that make it a dream come true.
We'll come on to that in a minute. It's a very young band. Do you think that has played its part?
Well, they go to bed early. I mean, no, I guess, no, it's nothing to do with age. It's to do with intention, and it's to do with influences. And I think that, every guy in the band has got an absolute, total democratic input. And it comes out when we play, because you've seen us a couple of times, and, it's always different. The structures are there, and the kind of key turning points within the songs. But the expression and the sort of humour and the joy within it all it's revolutionary. It doesn't matter where we play. It doesn't matter what we do now. We play within ourselves with great sort of optimism and charm, and it's something I've never ever experienced. Never experienced, actually.
Well, crucial to this band is one of your guitarists, Justin Adams, who many people will also know as the producer of the first Tina Owen album. I think I'm right in saying that, aren't I, Justin? And also your own CD, Desert Road. To what extent is it your enthusiasm for all things Saharan and North African that have created this sound of the band?
Well, I think what Robert did, I guess, was call round and find musicians that weren't, that everybody had a kind of a DNA, a sort of musical DNA of their own. And so mine's part of it, and Clive's is part of it, and Skin's is part of it. And it's true to say that the initial way that Robert and I sort of were going, oh, have you heard this? Or check out this. it was the two sort of meeting points were really North African and Saharan music, and also like old blues, like 20s, 30s blues, and that was so great to just find somebody who was really excited about those things and knew things that I didn't, and I was able to turn Robert onto things that he hadn't heard, and so that's a great kind of exciting thing.
So remind us how you two did actually get together. Did you get a call out of the blue from
Yeah,
Robert?
pretty much.
You must have been astonished to get that.
Yeah, I was, but you know,
I've had them off him as well. Actually. I know what it's like.
yeah, no, actually, it was a answer machine message, and my wife said, Robert Plant's called you," and I was like, yeah, but he probably just wants to know, where's a good Lebanese restaurant or something like that.
I called Hani from Transglobal, and I said, I'm trying to find a guy who can play guitar but doesn't go to all those places which we know and avoid, because
Musically, you mean?
Yeah. Somebody who knows about, Najat Atabu or, Ali Farka Touré or all that stuff, because the scales and the kind of blue note element is so close to sort of Robert Petway or King Solomon Hill or this great stuff from the late 20s. There's sort of that moan that goes through things. And you don't need some kind of beautifully tempered contemporary blues idiom thing.
Sorry, my phone's going off. I've just killed it. Carry on.
I thought it was a pacemaker. But yeah, so, I mean, and he said, "Well, call Justin." So I thought, well, anybody who's going to be playing that kind of music by choice is going to be backing off when the rock god rings up. So I thought, how do I do that? Well, first of all, I better speak really politely and charmingly, and I better make sure that I got no leather trousers in sight or all that shit. I was thinking about, well, how am I going to approach this? But it was great because we had so many touches in common. I mean, my knowledge of desert music is 10% of what Justin's is, but I know what I like, I know what I feel, and I know Jimmy and I went in through southern Morocco in the very early 70s with a Nagamichi tape machine taping Berber songs in the fields and stuff, and I know what is really happening in my heart and as a singer, and I wanted to learn and progress, and I wanted to develop, because that was the great thing about Led Zeppelin. It was about development. I mean, we were pretty far out, but now if you think back, if you're not careful, you can generalize about that group, and people tend to miss the point that it was a really wide, broad spectrum of music and influences, and I always wanted to keep that going. And I'd really reached a point where I didn't know what the hell to do. I couldn't end up doing a cabaret circuit, or all that stuff that we know is going on. So I was saved. I mean, it was great, a combination of people. And Justin brought in a kind of, integrity is the wrong word, but the matter of taste. It's about taste. It's about what to avoid rather than what to do.
Well, talking about taste and breadth of influences, you're going to do a song for us now which astonished me the first time I saw you with this band, Robert, which was at the festival in the desert in 2003 in the Sahara north of Timbuktu. And when you performed this, my jaw hit the sand. Why did you decide to do a cover of? And can I say this? There aren't many Bob Dylan originals that can be improved on, but I think you actually beat Bob's original with this. Why did you decide to do Girl of the North Country?
It's such a beautiful song. The lyric is wonderful, and it's got that great abstraction about, old love and longing, and it's beautiful.
Well, we'll talk more a bit later on. Robert Plant sings Robert Zimmerman.
If you're traveling in the North Country Fair, where the winds hit heavy on the borderline, remember me to the one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. If you go where the snowflakes fall, where the rivers freeze and the summer ends. Please see for me, she has a coat so warm to keep her from the howling wind. See for me, her hair's hanging long. It rolls and flows all down her breast. Please see for me that her hair's hanging long. And that's the way I remember her best. That's the way I remember her best. That's the way.
Oh, yes, that was wonderful. Robert Plant and the Strange Sensation and their take on Bob Dylan's Girl of the North Country. And I should point out to you, in order to play the studio Steinway piano for that, keyboard player John Baggett had to go right to the other side of the studio from where the rest of the band was playing. And there's all kinds of furniture and screens and what have you in between. That was an extraordinary version of the Dylan song and extraordinary performance by all of you. Thank you very much. We'll have more live music from Robert Plant and the Strange Sensation a bit later in the programme. And as they fall on the sandwiches, here's something that Strange Sensation guitar player and musical director Justin Adams gave us as he came in the studio this evening. It's a CD that Justin had picked up of the Pakistani Qawwali singer, the Sufi singer, Abida Parveen. It's a new album from her called Ishq, Supreme Love, or L'amour Absolu. And a track from it here, and it comes with Justin's strong recommendation, Main Nara E Mastana, I am drunk with love, yet thirsty. Back then to our live guests here in BBC Maida Vale Studio 3, Robert Plant and the Strange Sensation. And Robert and his band are going to start this little sequence with Let the Four Winds Blow.
Precious memory died. Once again, you are here at my side. Blowing, blow. been walking with strangers and talking all out of my mind. Well, the dogs in the manger, elusive and so hard to find. Conversations with angels, I seek the dimensional key. I've been reading indeed, and whatever will bring you to me. Conversations with angels, I seek the dimensional key. I've been reading indeed, and whatever will bring you to me. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
That's Robert Plant and the Strange Sensation, live here on the Kershaw programme. New Year's Day, BBC Radio 3. That song was Let the Four Winds Blow, and you'll find a version of that on Robert and the band's latest CD, which is The Mighty Rearranger. Robert, this is a militant album. It's full of righteous anger. What is it that's making you angry at the moment?
Well, I just sort of, I prayed that I could be eloquent and that I could just summarize some of my emotions and feelings within the structure of songscape, musical landscape. And it's not very difficult to find themes which are upsetting, and to have dramatic music like this, dynamics the way that we have them, it's purpose built to write stinging statements, I think, and there's not enough of it. Well, I say there's not enough of it going on. I just woke up and I had a voice again. And that was really quite a revelation for me.
Which was fired by what? I mean, if you take a track like the one that you did at the top of the programme, Another Tribe, or one like Freedom Fries on the album.
Futility, I can't, Another Tribe, it's just so ridiculous, organised crime, organised religion, organised bear baiting, the whole idea of people setting one brother against another. It's just very, very, very sad time that we're in.
So it's a kind of denunciation of fundamentalism of any kind.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
And Freedom Fries was...
Well, the great conspiracies that we're not really party to, that everybody talks about, the urban myth, the whole idea of the control of population of populace of the vested interests of huge multinational corporations and the links with politics and the whole sick backhander. The world of sludge. I hate it, and everybody does, including the perpetrators. Really, it's not very clean.
You told an audience in Edinburgh recently, and I'm quoting here from the Daily Telegraph Journal of
Oh, you want to
Record.
watch out? You'll lose your slot on the radio.
No, I'm turning into my dad, you see. I'm buying the Daily Telegraph. No, I'm a doctor as well. You said, I'm turning down the talk shows, the humour and the couch, except for the Kershaw couch, obviously. And I'm moving up to higher ground. I've found a new way out. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just taking the piss out of the whole idea of promotion, showbiz promotion. I mean, how many poor wet fishes are reeled out onto Friday night talk show TV where the host is propagating his own image to such a degree, it's so foppish. And then you've got to go out there and you've got to do the bear baiting. You've got to actually compete or be patronized or just do anything to be loved more and more by an audience that couldn't give a hoot, really. It's just a moment of a typical British expose TV culture, and I just think it's so unnecessary to preserve your career by or redefine it or reintroduce yourself to an audience that's so passive anyway that it's just sad to see people do it just to get that bit of exposure. And the record companies say, well, look, you've only got 3 TV shows in England. Why don't you do it? And Parky is, you're 99% okay for Parky. And then he comes back from the health farm and here's a piece of music that we want to play live and he throws up. I mean, what are you going to do if that's the only way through? I mean, we're doing fine. I just think it's a real compromise that people from my time now find that success is important at any cost.
Well, I'm very pleased you came to see us after, refusing to jump through these other showbiz hoops. Justin, I've always thought, I wonder whether you agree, the great thing about this man is no matter how famous he is, no matter how legendary his past, how big his band in the 1970s was, bigger than the Rolling Stones in terms of ticket sales, at heart he's still a fan, isn't he? Does that make him easy to work with?
Well, music it's a really good thing. I know some musicians who, when they haven't had quite the success that they wanted, or they can't quite do what they want now, they kind of get quite fed up with the whole thing. But I think actually it's partly to do with being into really proper good music, because it's so powerful and so magical. Then if you know the good stuff, it continues to give you things, wouldn't you say? I mean, some sort of transitory pop music is not going to do that, but if you go back to the roots music, the more you get into it, the more it gives you back. And that's what Robert's getting,
Yeah, if you read Robert Palmer's Deep Blues, which I've read I'm on my 4th time round reading it at the moment, it's remarkable, the whole fact that the music and the blueprint and the groundwork for the music that helped me and Jimmy Page and the whole Led Zeppelin thing and Cream and everybody else kick into gear and become internationally famous beyond all belief was music that came from Mali, from Senegal and Mauritania, from the slave boats and ended up being played on a diddly bow on the side of some shack in Mississippi. And it's ridiculous because if you go back and I've always really been into country blues, particular artists who are, without a doubt, my hair still stands on end when I play them in the morning. I just can't get enough.
Who?
Skip James, Son House. I mean, Son House is early stuff, and his life zigzagging between the church and crime. And I remember going to I went to Robinsonville, Mississippi about 15 years ago, because I knew that Robert Johnson had spent a lot of his early childhood there. Because there were a lot of people who could refer to that particular area. And I went to Commerce, Mississippi. Later, I wrote a song with Jimmy called Walking into Clarksdale. And I went there and I found this guy called Wink Clark, who used to play with Robert Johnson as a kid. They were friends. And I was talking to him. And at that time, Commerce, Mississippi was just a little hamlet before the Levee. and now it's got a Hilton Hotel and a gambling casino, and everything's gone. But Wink Clark told me this story, and it was amazing because I went to Robinsonville Post Office and I saw the juke joints that were set back in the scrub, overgrown. And he said to me, he said, Robert Johnson was a great guy. He was quite quiet, tall, loping guy, but the guy you had to watch out for was Sonny Boy Williamson. That's Rice Miller, who used to come from Helena, Arkansas on the boat across to Rosedale or Friars Point, and he used to really kick ass, and he would take no prisoners, and he'd take people's wives, get on the boat and just move down to the next place. I mean, these stories about what happened between being taken off the boat in 1690 or whatever it is and 1935, but the music and all that the fragments of that music which we've experienced in the desert, and you guys much more than me, makes me so excited because the link is still there, and it's the link that gave us Cream, it gave us all the big bands, the Rolling Stones, it gave us everything that gives us White Stripes, the Black Keys, but I mean it's all there, and it's amazing because it's not even difficult to follow the trail back.
What's nice too about this band and the shows I've seen you do is you seem to have a very relaxed attitude towards the old material. You're not timid or precious about revisiting the old Led Zeppelin songs with the new band, are you?
No, providing we have Justin's been really instrumental in, especially with things like Black Dog, giving it a great new life, and also making it so that it changes the intonation of the song. There was a kind of ominous thing about some of the heavyweight rock in the 70s, but if you can still take the kernel and the seed of it and then turn it into something that swings like crazy.
See, that's what I found, because just by accident of what records you come across when you're in your early teens and then fashion, I was buying punk records really in 1977, and so I was able to come to some Led Zeppelin material, having heard stuff, but not knowing it like since I was 13. I didn't know it too well. And I thought, well, that's a bit terrifying because there's so many people that know this music so well. But listening to it, I was able to hear, God, some of the syncopation in this is absolutely fantastic. And I could also see where it was coming from, and seeing that, that Robert and Jimmy had actually seen Sonny Boy Williamson play live, and that has an effect on you, seeing Howlin' Wolf and Booker White and people like this. So it's close to the source, and I could see that. So whereas it would be easy to perceive Led Zeppelin through the eyes of, I don't know, Bon Jovi or some sort of ghastly heavy rock band, because you'd sort of think, okay, long curly hair, Les Paul guitar, big riff, it's the same, but it's so not the same. And I guess that's when we're approaching Led Zeppelin material, that's just the way we do it, because that's our sort of taste. And Clive's the same. He's a drummer who looks at what John Bonham has done and realizes, oh man, he was listening to Earl Palmer, or he was listening to Elvin Jones. Wasn't it great when he went, it made him look so sort of big. That's not what it's about. Whereas if you just listen to Bonham and then a load of heavy rock drummers, what you'd come up with would be very lumpy and stodgy. It wouldn't swing. And as we know, that is the thing.
Well, we better have one then, hadn't we? And added poignancy to this one with the events of the last 2 or 3 months. Justin Adams, Robert Plant, the rest of the boys in Strange Sensation, thank you very much for coming in and doing this live session for us. And what are you going to finish off with?
Well, thanks for having us. This is another version of that old chestnut, When the Levee Breaks.
Keeps on raining, levees go away. If it keeps on raining, the levees go away. And when the levee breaks, I have no place to stay. Crying won't help ya, praying won't do you no good. Crying won't help you, mama, praying won't do you no good. like a monkey man in his hole. Well, 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 well. Don't it make you feel bad? You can't find your way home. You don't know which way to go. And if you're going down south, you know what to do. So you're going up to Chicago. Oh, 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 Crying won't hear me, praying won't do you no good. Crying won't hear me, mama, praying won't do you no good. 'Cause when the levee breaks, mama, you got to know. So all last night, we sat on the levee mall. All last night, we sat on the levee mall. I'm thinking about my baby and my happy home. Well, 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 well. Habibi, Habibi. I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to Chicago. I'm sorry, baby, but I can't take you. I can't take you. I can't take you. I can't take you. No, 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 no. Oh. I'm going down. 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 I'm going down.
Robert Plant and the Strange Sensation, live here on BBC Radio.